really feels like you're reducing people just to their genitals. You're kind of objectifying them, but you're thinking of them more as genitals than objects, so I guess you're kind of genitalifying them? Anyway, my point is, we have implicit biases that we were raised with, or that we developed over time, and they can be hard to get rid of. And
That's true.
I think this can be especially prominent within the queer community.
Yeah, it's called...
So to provide some context here, these two people are reacting to a old video that was published like 5-6 years ago by a YouTuber called Riley J. Dennis, who was quite controversial back in the day. And I am basically going to be reacting to their reactions here.
Being gay, that's not an implicit bias you should try to get rid of. Am I listening to like the Christian Broadcasting Network?
This is literally conversion therapy.
Hey guys, we're back with another Normal Gays React video where we take on LGBT insanity from the perspective of gay guys who haven't quite lost our minds just yet. I'm Brad Polumbo, here with Clarkson Lawson. Clarkson, it's been a while, so we're going to re-enter the genital preferences are discriminatory debate anymore, but used to be big.
Would you date a trans person, honestly? Think about it for a second. Okay, got your answer? Well, if you said no, I'm sorry, but that's pretty discriminatory. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you're a horrible person who hates trans people. There was probably a time in my life when I said I wouldn't date a trans person, but since then, I've thought critically about it and changed my mind.
I think a lot of the people who say they won't date a trans person also are pretty transphobic, and I don't think that's a coincidence. And it's not so much the preference, it's more so the fact that they feel the need to constantly proclaim that they won't date a trans person, even though nobody asked them.
What?
You know what? I think critically too. I'm going to start dating 2s and 3s just because I thought critically
So you're rating people based on numbers.
about it, and my attraction has now changed.
Well, you know, I thought critically about it, and I think I'm gonna just date women then, since that's apparently how sexual attraction works.
So much smarter, actually.
I think more her point is that a lot of people are transphobic, and unsurprisingly that influences their preference to not date a trans person.
Actually, because then I don't have to, you know, do the whole surrogacy thing. So yeah, for sure. I'm actually straight now. We should cancel the podcast.
Yeah, no, just normal straight. It is funny to me though, because it's like dating preferences are discriminatory. Yeah, that's the point. I discriminate against women categorically because I'm gay.
Yeah, I mean, we all have dating preferences, but I think her point is not so much that you should date people you're not attracted to, or 2s and 3s. It's more so that you should examine your preferences to see if there's valid reasons behind them, or if they are based on prejudices, which often the preference to not date a trans person is usually based on, because the loudest people about their dating preference to not date a trans person are usually also the loudest transphobes, and it's not a coincidence. You discriminating against women is because you are only sexually attracted to men, which is not a prejudice. You, on the other hand, if you said something like, well, I don't date women because women are bitchy, women are catty, that would be a prejudice.
I discriminate against fats, against uggos, against brokes. Like, no, if you're not discriminating in who you're dating, you have a problem.
Well, you're allowed to not date uggos, fats, and brokes. You're allowed to not date them. But why do you feel the need to constantly proclaim that you won't date those people? If you're not attracted to them, just don't date them or have sex with them. A lot of the people who feel the need to constantly say they won't date insert group here are usually pretty obnoxious people.
What?
Yeah, I mean, my standards are pretty much in hell, so my
Maybe you need to be discriminating more.
my discriminatory practices, I feel like they're probably less than yours because I don't really hold myself to high
Well, I'm
esteem.
not date. I've been off the market for a very long time, but
Oh yeah, I don't think you're supposed to discriminate. The act of choosing a partner involves.
I mean, you're supposed to discriminate. I mean, that is true. But I think what she's saying here is like, if your preferences are based on prejudices, you should check those prejudices. It's not necessarily that you have to start dating people that you're not attracted to.
A level of discrimination that has to be there. So I'm sorry that people aren't choosing you, but I don't know if you can like intellectualize your way out of that one.
I found it interesting that this
I mean, she flat out said that she used to say that she wouldn't date a trans person. But then, upon thinking about it, she was like, I could maybe date a trans person. And I used to be one of those people too, where I couldn't even consider dating a trans person. And the reason behind that was not necessarily because there's no trans person I could ever be attracted to. It's because I had a lot of preconceived notions about trans people that were fed to me by society and by the media. And once I started to kind of deconstruct those beliefs, my opinion has changed since then. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to date someone just because they're trans. If I'm not attracted to someone, I'm not going to date them, trans or not. But it definitely changed my opinion about it.
trans person also was like, there was a time I wouldn't have dated a trans person. I'm like, oh, okay.
And I bet you that actually, I don't know. I was going to say, I bet you that person doesn't even date trans people now, but that's usually the case.
Don't.
I don't think it is usually the case. Like, aren't trans people kind of notorious for dating each other and having sex with each other? T for T.
No, but I do. I would not date a trans person because there's really no way that it works.
Okay, so you say you wouldn't date a trans person, but now you're explaining why, and the explanations are what's transphobic. It's not necessarily the preference. The preference is not intrinsically transphobic, but the reasoning behind it can be, and you explaining it now proves it.
If it's a trans man, then they're masculine appearing on the surface, but a biological female.
Okay, how are they biologically female? Other than natal genitalia, can you explain to me how they are biologically female?
And I'm not interested in that. And if they're a trans woman, then they're technically biologically male, but
How are they biologically male, other than natal genitalia? Like, it would be nice if you could explain more of that, because there's different aspects of biology.
they're going to present so feminine and female appearing that I wouldn't be attracted to them. So there is basically no way I would do that. And I don't think that's discriminatory. I think that just makes sense.
I mean, it is discriminatory because it's a preference, but it's more so that your reasoning behind it is transphobic, because you're basically saying that trans men are women and trans women are men. And so it wouldn't make sense to you.
Yeah, I think the conundrum here is like, I don't know. I've been feeling a little bisexual recently. I'm going to do a video about it. There's 4 girls that I would date: Bonnie Blue, Brenda Song, Sydney Sweeney, and then there's one other. I forgot the other one.
Just see Bonnie Blue? Like
She
the
has-
one that gets 1,000 hot dogs in the oven at once?
Yes.
Ugh.
Anyways, but the problem is like, I don't want to mix. If I'm going to go with a woman, it's got to be a woman, you know? So I don't know. I don't know
Okay.
if I would do it or not.
Well, I'm still not over the Bonnie Blue thing, but we're gonna keep it moving and listen to the next part of this video.
I think the main concern that people have in regards to dating a trans person is that they won't have the genitals that they expect. Because we associate penises with men and vaginas with women, some people think they could never date a trans man with a vagina or a trans woman with a penis. But I think that people are more than their genitals. I think that you could feel attraction to someone without knowing what's between their legs. And if you were to say that you're only attracted to people with vaginas or people with penises, it really feels like you're reducing people just to their genitals. You're kind of objectifying them, but you're thinking of them more as genitals than objects. So I guess you're kind of genitalifying them? Anyway, my point is, we have implicit...
Well, I mean, Riley is right in the sense that when we are initially attracted to someone, we don't know their genitals, but we usually assume their genitals based on their appearance. So if I look at a man walking down the street, I'll think, oh, he must have a penis. Or if I see a woman walking down the street, I'm like, oh, well, she must have a vagina.
Biases that we were raised with or that we developed over time, and they can be hard to get rid of. And I think this can be especially prominent within the queer community.
Yeah, it's called being gay.
No, not necessarily. There are gay people who care a lot about genitals. A lot of gay men are all about the penis. A lot of lesbians are all about the vagina. And I don't think that's wrong. I don't think that's transphobic. But a lot of gay people don't care as much about genitals as they do the secondary sex characteristics or the perception of someone's gender. So there are gay people who will date pre-op trans women and trans men. And I don't necessarily think we should be calling these people bisexual.
That's not an implicit bias you should try to get rid of. Am I listening to like the Christian Broadcasting Network?
This is literally conversion therapy. It is conversion therapy. Like, what? I do agree that you could be attracted to a trans person and them not have the genitals that you prefer. The only problem is they don't
The
have the
attraction would
genitals.
probably go away.
Right. Like, I don't
Which is fine and valid.
know.
I agree. I have seen the occasional transgender guy who I'm like, oh, he's cute. And then I find out that he's transgender. And I would no longer, I mean, again, I'm not dating or anything now, but like, I would no longer be interested in anything further with that person. And it's really no shade to them. It's
Yeah.
just being a strict homosexual.
Okay, so if you found out an attractive man was a trans man, you wouldn't be attracted to him anymore because you're assuming he wouldn't have a penis and you like penises, which that part is fine to me. But you're saying and implying in this video that trans men are biologically female, so you don't really consider them men. So I think that plays a big part in why you lost attraction to them. It's not only about the genitals, it's about you just don't consider trans men to be valid men, which is definitely transphobic. Like, you can only be attracted to penises, and that's fine. But the implication that trans men are not legitimate men to you, that is transphobic.
Like, and that's fine. That's allowed. I've never understood this desire to police other people's sexualities or who they're attracted to. And the other thing is, I've known a lot of attractive trans people over the years. Not a lot, but a number, and they don't really have a shortage of people in their DMs. Like they
Well, they usually get a lot of attention, but I think a lot of trans people complain because a lot of the people who pursue them are chasers. So they are people who don't really see trans people as people. They see them more as objects to fulfill these fantasies that they have of trans people that they've learned pretty much from porn. And anything outside of actually interacting with trans people. And trans people complain a lot about this. They complain about people who are interested in them, but who are like obsessed with the genitals they perceive them to have and how they want to use it, and it's usually based on porn. And a lot of these chasers are simultaneously transphobic. So it's not a question of trans people not getting enough attention, it's the quality of attention that they are getting.
They don't need to be scolding people like, why don't you find me hot? They
Yeah.
have plenty of suitors. And this always gives like, why doesn't anyone want to date me projection energy?
Well, it gives I don't pass, and I'm mad about it. And I think that's what it is, truly, because you want people to be attracted to androgyny. I think there is a huge market of straight. They're not straight. They're bisexual men.
Okay, so you're basically saying straight men who are interested in trans women are bisexual because, according to you, trans women are men. That is pretty blatant transphobia. And, like, that is kind of what Riley is talking about. It's these attitudes of, like, well, trans women are men. So there's no way that a straight man could be interested in a trans woman because they're a man.
Who like trans women
Yeah.
and can get over the fact they just don't look at it. But
Or
if
that some of them are into that.
or they're into it, right? But like if you don't look like it, they're not going to go after you. So then, in order to cope, you just
Mm. Well, are you? I mean,
intellectualize sexual attraction and try to convince people that it doesn't matter. I guess I don't know.
I don't really think her point is that you should just date people or have sex with people you are not attracted to. Like, that isn't fair to anyone. I think her point is more that if you feel the need to constantly say you won't date a certain group of people, you should probably look inward and see why you feel the need to proclaim this preference constantly, and to see if there are any biases that influence that preference, and the need to tell everyone about it. Because it's not so much just the preference, it's more so the fact that the people who proclaim constantly about how they won't date fat people or how they won't date trans people, usually these people are transphobic or fatphobic, and it's not a coincidence. It's the fact that they feel the need to tell everyone about it.
I mean, a lot of it comes back to biology denial, and I really do object to that.
You keep saying biology, but I really would like a more, like, in-depth explanation about why you feel like trans people are denying biology.
The extent to which biology denial is like just the default position of a lot of trans activism and LGBT Inc. It's not a convincing way to make an argument or present a community, but let's watch the final bit of this video.
But you can unlearn your own prejudices. It just takes time and conscious effort. And the way that we talk about potentially dating trans people has a lot in common with the way we discuss other preferences. Saying that you're not attracted to fat people isn't innate. It's informed by a society that tells you that being thin is ideal. Everything in the media you consume is bombarding you with messages that skinny is beautiful and fat is ugly. And even the nicest of people absorb these messages to some degree. But again, if you find someone attractive and really enjoy spending time with them, there's no reason why their weight should be a factor. Especially since we know that the relationship between weight and health is extremely complex, and you really can't make any moral judgments on a person based on their weight.
She's true. I mean, she is right, though, in the sense that, like, there is a complex relationship between weight and health. Obviously, morbid obesity is unhealthy. And I don't really think there's any debate about that. But it's true that you can't really make a moral judgment based on somebody's weight. We do like to look at fat people and assume that they must be lazy or they lack discipline or all these negative judgments. And we shouldn't do that.
It's not that complex. It's a
No.
little complex, but it's actually pretty freaking straightforward.
How I didn't expect this video to get even more woke.
Being obese is bad for your health. Again, with the science denial.
I just
I mean, she never really said that being obese is good for your health or it isn't bad for your health. She just said that the relationship between weight and health is complex, which it is.
how I didn't expect this video to get even more woke, but they started going into like fat. First of all, it is not conditioning that makes being fat.
It's evolution.
I mean, I think it's both. I think I think this can go for a lot of preferences of like nature versus nurture. Um, I think all of our preferences are a mixture of both. Like, they're innate to us, but we also do live in a society that pushes a lot of ideals, and obviously the ideal of skinniness has been pushed to us since childhood.
Why would you want to be attracted to overweight people if you're not? I just don't. It's not like, I don't know, being overweight's bad for you. So
Obviously, evolutionarily, humans are attracted to fitness of the species, right? And like, of course, people who are overweight are, important and have value and have dignity, but of course, that is going to be an unattractive attribute when it corresponds to worse health and lower lifespan and actually issues with fertility in some cases. Like, it makes
Well, I don't think she was denying any of that. I think what she was saying was you can't look at a fat person and automatically assume that they are not trying to eat healthy, that they are not going to the gym, that they are just eating McDonald's every day. Just like you can't look at a skinny person and automatically assume that they are eating healthy, that they go to the gym. You know what I mean? Because let's look at Osmongold, for example. He is extremely skinny and he is very unhealthy.
perfect sense that that wouldn't be something people find sexually attractive because sex, the development of it is about reproduction at least,
right.
and it just makes sense. It's
But
not
also
something
that's
culturally
why
conditioned.
Yeah, that's why back in the day when everybody was starving and the rich, being fat was attractive because they were starving. It's a survival mechanism. It's not this like big master plan to make everybody who's fat feel bad. No, it's just simple. It's simple survival. I don't know.
So if you're not attracted to fat people and you don't want to fuck them, you don't have to. But you also don't need to go around constantly saying, I won't fuck a fat person. Or fat people are unhealthy. Or, fat people need to lose weight. Like, you just don't need to do that.
We're animals at the end of the day.
Yeah, some of us more so than others.
Yeah.
But I'll just say this. I found this video funny as kind of a blast from the past because people will be like, that woke stuff, that was just a few people on Twitter that y'all got mad about or whatever. And they really do forget how pervasive and just how insane this shit was, especially with the.
I mean, that stuff was pervasive, but I also remember content in the opposite direction being pervasive. Like, I constantly remember on YouTube these anti-SJW compilations, feminist cringe compilations, memes of people like Smuglypuff and Trigglypuff and Jordan Peterson. Like, I remember all of that.
Wi-Fi password people.
Yeah. And I mean, it's still pretty bad, but at least we can call it out now without getting their armies like swarming
People were calling it out back then.
us and doxing us. So
Yeah, we get only a little bit of that now, but
All right, well, I think that I'm done reacting to that video. If you liked that reaction, please like and leave a comment and subscribe. Please give me feedback and let me know what you'd like to see more of. And yeah, thanks for watching.